This conference will now be recorded.
Hello everyone. So yeah, so as most of you are new to this session, so I will try to talk about some details of this particular programming that we are doing. So we are looking at Python programming. So we are looking at what? We are looking at Python programming. Okay, so we are looking at Python programming. So when I say Python programming or any programming for that matter, I'm going to talk about the uh, input processing and the output. So whenever you talk about any programming for that matter, so it is all about dealing with input, output, and processing. Okay. So in simple words, if I say program is a collection of data and instructions. Program is a collection of data and instructions called as inputs. Called as input. Okay, so program is collection of data and instructions called as inputs that are to be processed to give the output that are to be processed to give the output. So whenever we are talking about a program, it is collection of data and instructions which we call as the output. So simply when a programmer is developing a code, okay, so when a programmer is developing a code, so what he is going to do, so he is going to have instructions, and along with the instructions he will have the data also. Okay, along with the instructions he will have the data. So those instructions and the data we consider as inputs. So those inputs will be processed. Those inputs will be processed. So what do I mean by processing then? Processing is nothing but applying the logic. Processing is nothing but applying the logic. So whenever we are talking about the processing, it is all about applying the logic and giving the output So what is output here? Output is nothing but the information. Okay, output is nothing but the information. So whenever you are talking about the output is nothing but the information. So now for example, I will say add 4 comma 3. Okay, so here 4 and 3 are added to give me 7. So what is 7 for me? 7 is the output. 7 is the output. So that output we also call it as the information. So you gave me instructions, and along with the data which I considered as input, those inputs are processed. Okay, processing means logic applied, and they gave me information. So information is nothing but the output. So this is the way that we write programs in the IT field. Okay, so basically Java programming, Python. Why I'm saying IT field? Because it is not like it is only for Python. So you take Java also, you take C also. Okay, so Java, Python, everywhere the concept is this only. What is that concept? Concept is I, P, and O. Okay, I for input, P for processing, and O for output. Okay, now let us understand the data first. Okay, so how we can put the data in Python. Okay, so in Python, data components in Python. So how we can put the data component? So first we need to understand about the data. So first let us understand about the data, then the instructions, then applying the logic. Okay, so automatically If you learn these three things, output will be evident. Okay, so output will be evident. So data components in Python. So what we are talking about now? We are talking about data components in Python. Okay, in Python programming, we have the following data components. We have the following data components. So what are the data components that are there in Python? So first one is numeric data. Second one is going to be string data. Third one is, so first one is numeric data, second one is string data, third one is boolean data, and last one is going to be none data. Okay, so none data. Okay, so numeric data, string data, boolean data, and none data. So whatever data values you have, so they will be revolving around these things only. Okay, so numeric data, string data, boolean data, none data, so they will be revolving around these four only. Okay, right. First we will talk about the numeric data. So whenever I am talking about numeric data in Python, the numeric data is put into three categories. Okay, so numeric data is put into three categories. So one is integer data. Okay, integer data. Second one is float point data. Third one is complex data. Okay, so first one is integer data, second one is float point data, and the third one is complex data. So when we talk about integer data, so integer data means what? Integer data means the numbers that do not have, so the numbers, integer data means the numbers that do not have, okay, so what are integer data? The numbers that do not have a decimal point. The numbers that do not have a decimal point. So what do I mean by this actually? So for example, I will have so like say 5, 2, 0, 899, 897, minus 41. Okay, so you have something like 8. Okay, so you have something like minus 12487 something. So what are all this? All these are nothing but the integers only. All these are nothing but the integers only. So integers are the numbers without any decimal point. So 5 do not have any decimal point, 2 do not have any decimal point, 0 does not have any decimal point, 897 does not have any decimal point, minus 41, 8. So it might be any big number. It might be any big number. It does not have any decimal point. Okay, it does not have any decimal point. So these numbers are single valued numbers. So these are single valued numbers with a single part. With a single part. That is an integer part. So we call it as which part here? We call it as integer part. Okay, so we call it as integer part. So what I'm trying to say here is, so when you are declaring something like 5, this we call it as integer part. Suppose we are declaring something as 2, if you are declaring 0, it is integer part. So now for example, if you are saying minus 41, it is an integer part. Okay, so if we are picking up any big number for that matter, okay, 1 2 5 4 7 8 9, so this is also integer part only. So it's a single valued number with a single part, which is known as the integer part, okay, which is known as the integer part. So this is how we deal with the integer data. Okay, so integer data. Okay, right. So then we'll talk about the float point data. So when I'm talking about float point data here, the numbers that the numbers that have a decimal point, the numbers that have a decimal point. Now, for example, you can take something like 45.26, okay, and you can take minus 748.748, okay, so and you can take 0.0, okay. So what are all this? These are all the floating point data. These are all the floating point data. So whenever you are talking about floating point data, these numbers are single valued numbers with three parts. With three parts. Okay, so there are three parts actually. So the first part is going to be integer part, and the second part is going to be, okay, so fractional part. Okay, I'll write decimal point. Okay, so integer part like say IP. So decimal point like I'll say DP, and fractional part. So I will say FP. So fractional part. Okay, so I will say FP. So what I'm talking about here, I'm talking about the numbers having three parts. So what are the three parts here? Like say 45.26. So this is like integer part, this is like decimal point, and this is like fractional part. And then you are having minus 748. Again, this is integer part, this is decimal point, and this is the fractional part. Okay, so again you are saying 0.0. So what is 0.0 again here? So integer part, decimal point, and the fractional part. So this is the way that we look into the uh, float point data. So whenever we are talking about the float point data, so this is the way that we are looking into the looking into the float point data. So whenever I say float point data, so this is the way that you need to look into them. Okay, so that's how we deal with it. And then we can have the complex numbers. Okay, so we can have the complex numbers. So complex numbers or the complex data, I can say. So when we talk about the complex data, the numbers with two parts. Okay, it is rarely used. Okay, rarely used, but still we need to know that. So for example, you will have something like 3 minus 2j. Okay, so 3 minus 2j. Okay, so you have something like 1.5 plus 3j. Okay, so what is this basically? So we are looking at, okay, so these are the examples. So these are the numbers with two parts. So what are the two parts? I'll tell you. The two parts are going to be the real part, and real part is going to be RP basically. Okay, RP, and you are going to have the imaginary part. Okay, so imaginary part. So imaginary part, I will say IMP. Okay, so I will not say IP. I'll say IMP. So imaginary part. So what exactly I'm talking about here? I'm talking about 3 and minus 2j. Okay, so what is this part? Real part, and what is this? Imaginary part. Okay, So if at all you want to play with numbers in Java, sorry, in Python programming, so you should work with these three kinds of numbers. Okay, integers, float point numbers, and the complex numbers. Okay, so these are the three things that you need to work it out. Okay, so this is all about the numeric data. So then we have the string data. Okay, so then we have the string data. So whenever we talk about the string data, the data components that are a collection of one or more characters. Okay, so these are the components. These components are the collection of one or more characters from the basic character set. So from the basic character set. So what is basic character set first of all? So basic character set is nothing but uh, capital A to Z. So capital A to capital Z, and you have small a to small z, and you have 0 to 9, and you have the symbols, all the symbols which are there. Okay, so all the symbols which are there, that also come under the basic character set only. So it is collection of one or more characters from the basic character set. So what is the basic character set over here? Capital A to Z, small a to z, 0 to 9, and all the symbols. Okay, all the symbols. Okay, so these are okay, or else I can say the string data is enclosed. The string data is enclosed under the quotes. Under the quotes. Okay, so the string data is enclosed under the quotes. Okay, so under the quotes. So whenever I'm talking about the string data, okay, so it is enclosed under the quotes. There are four types of quotes used in Python. There are four types of quotes which are used in Python. So we have four types of quotes which are used in Python. Okay, so which are used in Python. Okay, so there are three types of quotes which are used in Python. So first one going to be single quotes. Okay, so single quotes. So single quotes would be like this. Okay, so single quotes, and then you have double quotes, something like this. Okay, so then you have triple quotes. So triple quotes, or I should say triple single quotes. So triple single quotes, something like this. And you also have triple double quotes. Okay, so you also have triple double quotes, or something like this, right? So these are the types of the quotes that we have: single quotes, double quotes, triple single quotes, and triple double quotes. So whenever we are talking about the quotes here, so these are the indications of the string codes. Okay, so these are the indications of the string codes. So whenever I'm talking about the codes here, so these are the types of the quotes: single quotes, double quotes, triple single quotes, and triple double quotes. Okay, so now the question is why these many quotes are required and what are the differences of these quotes we need to understand. So first we will understand about the single quotes. Okay, so in this we can have one or more characters, one or more characters. Okay, so one or more characters in a single line only, in a single line only. So in this we can have one or more characters in a single line only. So we can have the single quotes in single line only. So we cannot have multiple lines. Okay, so we can have one or more characters. Now for example, I will say Python. Okay, so you can say Python or you can say single character also. Okay, so or you can say uh, hello Python is interesting. Python is interesting. So this also you can say. Okay, so single quotes of course, but you cannot have it in multiple lines. You cannot have it in multiple lines. Okay, so basic idea here is, so you cannot have this in multiple lines. Now, for example, these are all correct. So illegal or which is wrong. Okay, so wrong uh, single quotes, wrong single quoted string. What is the wrong single quoted string here? So the wrong single quoted string is nothing but the string which is in multiple lines, which is in multiple lines. So which is in multiple lines. Now for example, hello Python is interesting. So you cannot have this. So you cannot have the string in multiple lines. And one more thing here. So it can be, it is not only words, it can be anything. It can be anything. Now for example, if I'm saying ABC at hash 123. Okay. So what I'm doing here, I'm going for what? I'm going for a string. So which will have ABC hyphen, I'm sorry, ABC hash 123. Okay. So now what you cannot have, you cannot have the string in more than one line. Single line is okay. Single line is okay. Single line is okay. So single line is okay. But if you want the string in multiple lines, single quoted strings will not help you. Okay, so single quoted string will not help you. So then how can I make that, we will see. Okay, so then we have double quotes. Okay, so then you have double quotes. So now double quoted string, so in this also we can have, so in this also we can have, now for example, I'll just give you. So here let's say I'm giving 5. So what is 5 here? 5 is a number. 5 is a number, that is integer number. Now for example, if I'm saying 2.5, so 2.5 is a float point number. Now for example, if I am giving 3 minus 2j, okay, so this is a complex number. This is a complex number. So 5 was a integer, 2.5 is a float value, and 3 minus 2j is going to be a complex value. Okay, so like this you have. Okay, so then again, so Python allowed. Okay, so only p allowed, and if I write in single line, that is also allowed. Python is fun. Python is fun. Okay, And if you are doing this like in say multiple lines, so you are doing it in multiple lines. Let's say you are doing this and you are doing this. All these will be correct. So this is correct, you are getting the output. This is correct, you are getting the output. And this is also correct, you are getting the output. But when you run this, so when you run this, you will be getting a syntax error. You will be getting a syntax error. So what the syntax error is telling you? The syntax error is telling you that you are giving a wrong representation of the string literal. You are giving a wrong representation of the string literal. So it will say, I cannot allow you. I cannot allow you. So I can allow Python is fun. That is also okay. I can allow P. That is also okay. I can allow Python. That is also okay. But I cannot allow allow you to be in multiple lines. Okay. So I cannot allow Python is fun in multiple lines. Okay, so single line, I'm okay. But if you are giving multiple lines, I cannot execute. So that is why it is giving you syntactical error. So syntactical error means you are not following the rules and regulations of the programming. Okay, so that is where you get the uh, syntactical error. So we are not following the rules and regulations of the program. Okay, right. So then we go further. Okay, okay, so let me just copy this for note's sake. Okay, so this is correct, so this one is correct, this one is correct, this one is correct, and this one is wrong. Why? Because you will get this error. So unterminated string literal. Okay, so we generally call them as literals also. Okay, so it is a string literal, so integer literals, float point literals. Okay, so that is why we can call it as literals also. Okay, so then coming to the double quote. So what does the double quote do? So in this we can also, in this also we can have the, okay, so in this also what we can have, we can have the have, okay, the, I'll take off, we can have one or more characters, we can have one or more characters enclosed in the double quotes, enclosed in the double quotes in a single line only, in a single line only. So then what is the difference? I'll tell you. In this also we can have one or more characters enclosed in the double quotes in a single line only. Now for example, okay, same things I can take, no problem at all. So but I will have double quotes. So Python single character is also allowed, multiple characters are also allowed. So now I'll say ABC at the rate 126. Okay, so I'll close this and then we will talk about multiple lines. Okay, so same thing I will write, but this time I will keep double quotes. So I'll keep double quotes here. Now I'll still say Python is fun. I will get the same error. I'll get the same error. Why? Because, so why I'm getting the same error? Because double quotes also won't allow us to have. Okay, so double quotes also won't allow us to have the uh, uh, multiple lines of code, multiple lines of code. Okay, then you will ask me what is the difference between this double quotes and single quotes, right? Okay, the difference between the two above quotes is that a single quote, a single quoted string will not allow apostrophe. Okay, so will not allow apostrophe. So what do I mean by apostrophe basically? So now for example, I will say softwares. Yes, I'll say softwares. Okay. So now I am running softwares. If you observe here, it will say again the same error. It is saying syntax error again. Why it is saying syntax error? It is telling you the syntax error because, okay, so it is giving you syntax error because now you are saying software yes, so it is treating this and this as the start and end. So it is not considering this as the part of the string. So as it is considering this as the end, so this is ignored. As it is ignored, it uh, goes to the interpreter, and we will get the error. We will get the error. Okay, so that's what it is not allowed over here. Okay, so that's what it is not allowed in the single quotes. Apostrophe is not allowed. Okay, so when I say apostrophe, this is the apostrophe. Okay, so this is the apostrophe which is not allowed. Okay, so that's the way it goes. Then now, will it allow double quotes are there? So yes, definitely it can allow double quotes. Now, for example, if I'm saying uh, software is an interesting interesting field. Software is an interesting field. Now, for example, I will keep double quotes. Definitely allowed. So definitely allowed. So it won't say anything. So it will give you the output also because you have double quotes inside the single quotes. Okay, so as you have the double quotes inside the single quotes, so you don't have to worry about. So okay, so here I will just take off this and I will go for 20. Okay, so software is an interesting field. So what is taken here? So here double quote can be taken. So this is absolutely right, no problem at all. Single quote is not allowed, but the double quote is allowed. Okay, so single quote because it will break the English consistency. Okay, so that is why it is not allowed. Then we go for the double quoted string. Okay, so in the double quoted string, in the double quoted string, okay, so in the double quoted string, what we do? In the double quoted string, we can have single quotes also. Okay, in the double quoted string, we can have apostrophes. We can have apostrophes. We cannot have, but we cannot have. Okay, so apostrophes, but we cannot have double quotes. We cannot have double quotes. So, for example, if I'm saying, let's say this is double quote here, and this is also double quote. Again, it is getting confused. Confused means here double quote started, here double quote ended. So it will not consider interesting as the part of the double quote. Okay. So the same thing if I write here, okay, using single quotes, it is allowed. Okay. So for example, if I'm saying this as single quote, so here also single quote and here also single quote. So these two are allowed. Okay, so these two are allowed. So why they are allowed? Sorry, this is not allowed basically. So this is allowed. These two are allowed inside, one inside the other. Okay, so now there is no confusion. This is start, this is end. So there is no middle one or anything. So now this is error. Why this is error? Because you are having the same sign. You are having the same sign. So that is why you are getting the error here. Okay, so you are getting the error. So why you are getting the error? So in the double quote, the double quoted string, so here invalid, syntax. Okay, so invalid syntax. Software is an interesting feed. So here double quote, it will not be connected. But what is possible? I told you. So this is possible. Okay, so this is possible. So what is possible? A single quote inside the double quoted string is definitely going to be possible. Okay, so this is absolutely correct. Okay, so this is not correct. Okay, so that's what you look at in the single quoted and the double quoted string. Okay, now I don't want any of these restrictions basically. Okay, so if I don't want any of these restrictions, I can go for the other two options. So what are the other two options here? So the other two options are going to be triple single quotes. Okay, so triple single quotes, these are the type of quotes in which we can have any other type of quote, any other type, any other type of quotes, any other type of quotes. Okay, so there are these are the types of quotes in which we can have any other types of quotes. We can have any other types of quotes. Even we can have multiple lines. Even we can have multiple lines of string. Even we can have multiple lines of string. No problem at all. Okay, so even you can have the multiple lines of the string. Now, for example, let's say this is a triple quote and this is a triple quote. Okay, so triple quote. So you can have this, no problem at all. And so result will be a double quote because so this is single quote, no, so it won't allow you to have a single quote. So you can have multiple lines also. So you can have a multiple line also. Okay, so then what does this slash n will tell you? I'll tell you. So slash n will represent a new line. Okay, slash n will represent a new line. So this is new line, right? So that new line, how we can represent in the string? By using slash n. So representing new line. Okay, so representing the new line. Okay, so in that way, you are looking at the triple single quote. So whenever I'm talking about the triple single quotes, so in the triple single quote, so you are the triple single quote, so you are going for anything, and you can have it in multiple lines also. Okay, so most of the time these are also used as comments. These are also used as comments in functional functional programming, as well as OP programming. Okay, so how to use that and all we will see later. So for now, try and understand that these are also used as comments. Okay, they're also used as comments for functional programming as well as the OOP program. Okay, so these are similar to triple single quotes. These are similar to triple single quotes. Okay, but so these are similar to triple single quotes, but they are not used as comments. They are not used as comments. So that's the major difference basically. Okay, so that's the major difference. So these are similar to triple single quotes, but they are not used as comments. They are not used as comments. Okay, so everything is similar other than that. Okay, now for example, I can put triple double quotes. So I can put triple double quotes here, and I can put triple double quotes here. So this is okay, and same thing I can do it over here also. This is also okay. Same new line character you are going to get because of the new line we are using. Because of the new line we are using. Okay, so this is the way that we talk about the triple single quotes and triple double quotes. So overall, we can have the strings in four ways. Okay, single quotes, double quotes, triple single quotes, and triple double quotes. Okay, so this is the way that we can have it. Okay, so that's how we deal with the strings. And next up, we will be talking about Boolean data. Okay, so Boolean data in Python, we have only two values per Boolean. That is true, and second one is going to be false. So true and second one is going to be false. In Python, we can have only two values for Boolean. First one is going to be true, and the second one is going to be false. Only two values. Only two values. Now, for example, if I'm just saying true, it is a true value. If I'm saying false, it is going to be a false value. So true value and false value. And never put them under the quotes. Okay, so never put them under the quotes. So this is input and this is output. Okay, so input you are giving true, output you are getting true, input you are giving false, output you are getting true. So uh, these are like input and output, so don't worry about them. So these are the data members. So these are the data members, and while typing, don't type all this. These are the data members, and this is input and output. Input and output. So basic idea here is this. Okay, so Boolean data. So in Python, we have only two values for Boolean, which are true and false. Okay, and one small note here: never put them under the quotes. Never put them under the quotes. Otherwise, they become strings. They become strings. Okay, so don't ever put them under the quotes. So like this. So if we are keeping them under the quotes, they'll become strings. Okay, so they'll become strings. Okay, so that's why don't ever put them. Okay, and finally we will look at the none data. So in Python, none represents nothing. In Python, none represent nothing. Okay, so in Python, none represent nothing. Okay, so none represent nothing means, now for example, if I am saying none and running this, you won't see any output. So for true false, you saw the output. For none, you are not looking at any output. You are not looking at any output. So this is none, nothing. So none represent nothing. How we will use this nothing, how effective this none can be used. So all these things we will be understanding in our uh, future lessons. So for now, this is it for the data. Okay, so now as a part of the program, we understood the data part. Okay, so we understood the data part. So once we have idea on the data part, so we will be understanding the instructions, and then we will be understanding how to apply the logic. Okay, so that's how we deal with the programming stuff. Okay, so programming, so under the programming we will have instructions and the data. So these are the data members. Okay, so these are the data members. Now in future, whatever the data comes into the picture, so all of them belong to these types only. So they will be from derived from these structures only. Okay, so that's it. Hope everyone is clear. So we have So many people here. So anyone having any doubts, any questions, any doubts, you can please ask me now. Okay. Okay, so if you don't have any doubts, you can talk to the front office regarding the batch timings and everything. So they will guide you. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.